This is the new Viltrox 27mm f1.2 lens for Fujifilm, which makes this a great subject for today's video. Hi everyone, welcome to Palditech. Viltrox just released this new 27mm f1.2 lens for Fujifilm. It's one of two ultra-large aperture prime lenses in the Pro series. The other one is the 75mm, which I reviewed in a recent video. But before I get into the review, first, a disclaimer. Viltrox did send me this lens to review for the channel. However, they didn't sponsor, nor did they pay me to do this review. They had no involvement into the creation of this video, and they weren't allowed to see it until the video went live right now for all of you. But there is something else I need to tell you about. About 8 months ago, Viltrox sent this gift box to this channel to sort of celebrate and ring in the new year. The gift included this cool camera display. I loved how it looked so much that I put it in the background right here where it still sits today. So yeah, it was given to me by the same company of which I'm doing a review to tell you whether or not to purchase one of their products. So I felt that the right thing to do was to provide this full disclosure to you so that you can make up your own mind as to the legitimacy of today's review. Let's now take a look at this new lens. Just like the 75mm, I was extremely impressed with the build quality of this lens. It's solid, all black, weather resistant, and made of aluminum alloy. And in case you have any doubt as to which lineup you have, right here front and center. Also included in the box is a lens cap, a thicker and more solid lens hood than Fuji makes, and a soft bag. The lens itself is on the heavier side. It weighs in at 560 grams, and it is one of Viltrox's heaviest lenses. On paper, it weighs less than the 75mm, but I'll tell you something, these feel about the same amount of weight to me. It is also a bit smaller than the 75mm, obviously, as you can see here. It is a 27mm focal length on Fujifilm cameras, which is the equivalent focal length of 40.5 millimeters on a full-frame camera. It takes a filter size of 67 millimeters, and the lens itself contains 15 elements in 11 groups. You get an aperture range from f1.2 to f16 with 1/3 stop increments that are controlled by 11 diaphragm blades. I found the aperture ring to be considerably quiet for a clickable aperture ring. I would have preferred a bit more resistance between each of the 1/3 stop increments. Also, when I put it into f16, I did find it a bit too easy to accidentally bump it into automatic. There is a USB port right here, just like on all of the Viltrox lenses, where you can apply firmware updates. And you can see right here these electrical connection points. They allow the EXIF data to be read directly to the camera from the lens. And of course, they also give it autofocus ability. And I also love how it has a nice, large, discernible red dot telling you exactly where to connect it to your camera. One thing that I did find with the lens hood was that, like the aperture ring, it could have been made with a tighter fit. Notice here how easy it is to loosen and then even fall off. Now, I haven't seen many other reviewers mention this, so maybe it was just my pre-release model. Nevertheless, I wanted to point that out. So let's now talk about image quality. And I used this lens on an X-T5 camera, which of course has the 40 megapixel sensor. I found the lens overall to handle colors extremely well. I would say that it tends slightly toward the more saturated side. Now, the minimum focus distance is about 28 centimeters, which is about 11 inches. But have a look at what you can get with that minimum focus distance. Look at how sharp the center is at minimum focus distance at f3.2. Here I'm zoomed into 200%. If there's definitely one theme to this lens overall, and that it is pretty damn sharp all the way through. Here we are at f1.4, shot with autofocus using Face-Eye Auto Detect on the X-T5. Have a look at this at 100%, zoomed in to 200%. Here we are at 300%. We are at the center of this lens at f1.4. You'll see right here that if I open up the lens all the way to f1.2, there is a significant amount of vignetting. Check it out now as I stop down the lens. You see it goes away. Now I'm at f2.2 where it's pretty much gone. And at f1.2, if you go to the corners, they are really sharp. You see that at 100% here? and this corner. It doesn't matter. All the corners of this lens are very sharp at f1.2, but you're going to have the vignetting, of course. Now zooming in right to the center of f1.2, we are at 100% right here, going in at 200%, and I'm very impressed with the sharpness right in the center at this aperture. If I go to f1.4, you see that right there, it gets even a little bit better, and obviously as I continue, I'm at f1.8 here, and I will zoom in to 300%. Now, if we go back to f1.2 here, you'll see there's a little bit of fringing, but it's so minor. As I go down to f1.4, 1.6, and 1.8, it goes away. Now here's f5.6, we don't see the vignetting at all. Zooming in, of course, we're now at 300% and it looks great. Zooming back out from the center, now let's go to the corners, and again, the quality of this lens is very apparent. Here I am at 300% at f8, and I'm starting to notice a little softness in the center at f13. Jumping to f14, you can definitely see it. Keep in mind, I'm at 300%. If I zoom back out, here's 100%. But going back to 300%, and obviously there is some softness at the center. With a lens like this, if you put it to f1.2, you are going to have a very narrow depth of field. For example, have a look at how little of an area of this image is in focus. Basically, just right here. Again, here's f1.2, where I'm positioning that narrow field of focus right at my subject right here. Even if you have a scene just like this right here, where it looks like you could easily make both of these in focus, I've got this at f2.2, and as you can see, you still have a very narrow field at f2.2. But at f1.2, be careful. I lost that one because it went for this right here, and that is literally the only area of focus in that shot. Now, to be clear, the background that you get from this 27mm lens is beautiful, and right here at f1.2, obviously you do have a little bit of the cat eye look to this, and obviously as we stop down the lens, we lose the bokeh. Here's f2.8, but taken out in the real world and away from the studio here, I was impressed overall with the background of the lens. And of course, background is so subjective, right? Here's the background at f3.2 versus f4. And I must say they're pretty similar. And I really liked f1.4 because it gave me just enough of that depth of field to not be really paranoid, but it still looks really nice with regard to the background. And again, zooming into 100%, look at how sharp that center is. Before we continue, I'd like to mention a special word about today's sponsor, FlexiSpot, and to tell you about a special anniversary event, including special deals on the E7 Pro standing desk that's happening right now. I've been using the E7 Pro Plus every day for several years, and I use it when editing these videos. Being able to stand up really does raise my energy level, and I do notice that I'm more productive with the work that I'm doing. And using it as a product photography table is great because it allows me to move the frame up or down if I want to reframe the shot quickly. The desk is very easy to assemble, which can be done in 30 minutes. It comes in a number of colors, materials, and sizes. Here's the thing about standing desks. You don't always want to be standing. In fact, instead of that, you actually want the flexibility of being able to move from a sitting position to a standing position in seconds. The electronic keypad right here controls everything, and you don't have to worry about the hassle of being locked into having it at one dedicated position. Even at full height, the desk is solid and it has very minimal wobbling. Check out this glass of water. As you can see, the vibration is minimal, even though I'm moving the desk up or moving it down. If you have been on the fence about getting a standing desk, especially the E7 Pro, there is no better time than right now. FlexiSpot's anniversary event is one of their biggest discount events of the year. I will leave a link and information in the description of this video where you can go check it out. And now, back to the review. Overall, the autofocus on this lens for stills is very good. It's quiet and it works very well with face, eye, and subject detection features of the X-T5 camera. I noticed that the lens performed its best when the subject was moving side to side, and I was impressed at how the lens was able to keep up and track face, eye with no trouble at all. Now, straight running toward the camera, it just did a mediocre performance. Its strongest point is side to side. Still, when I imported the photos into Capture One, as I shuttled through the photos, I had a lot of keepers. Let's now talk about shooting video with this lens. Because this lens has no built-in OIS, you will obviously get better handheld stabilization if you use it on a camera that already has an IBIS unit like the X-T5. And I noticed that digital stabilization did not make much of a difference. And if you use that, you're going to get a crop, of course, to your footage. Now, obviously, you're not going to use this lens for a vlogging shoot, but I certainly would not go into getting one of these lenses and assuming that my IBIS unit on the camera is going to give me the same level of stabilization with this lens as I would get with native non-OIS Fuji lenses. Also, like a number of third-party lenses for Fujifilm cameras, I would not use this lens in automatic exposure mode for video for exposure. Meaning that if you set a fixed shutter speed and a fixed aperture, and then you put, ISO into automatic and let the camera choose the exposure, you're gonna notice this. You see right here, as it's trying to acquire the right exposure, it's doing it kind of in these steps, right? It's not a smooth transition. And I noticed that happening when I had the camera set to any type of automatic control over the exposure. So you definitely want to put the camera into fixed values for all three of these exposure triangle settings. Unlike autofocus for still shooting, obviously video autofocus needs to be very smooth. And a huge contributor to that is the setting right here in the AFC section of the menu. But one thing I noticed, whether I had it in the fastest possible focus or the slowest, and I got as close to the subject as I could, minimum focus distance, I think it's about 11 inches. When it went to change the focus, it would pull focus and then it would get just close to the end and then it would go a little bit. And it was more pronounced when I was focusing from a faraway object to a closer object. So if you are shooting video and you want to use autofocus with this lens, a tip that I would give you to try and prevent what I was just talking about would be to move backward from the subject. So if you move back a little bit, it's not quite as pronounced. And obviously, if you put the camera's focus mode in M for manual and you simply rack and pull focus yourself manually, you can get good results with the lens. In conclusion, this is a wonderful lens for still photography. It is incredibly sharp all throughout the aperture range. The colors are beautiful. It is well built. The only thing, as I said, that I think could be improved is the lens hood, which needs to be attached a little bit stronger the way it is so that it doesn't fall off. I think the background you can get with this lens is also wonderful. However, at this time and the lens that I had, I don't necessarily recommend it for video. I think there are better lenses out there that you'd want to use for video. If you're going into this as I want a really good still photography lens, from a third party in the 27mm focal length, this is the one to get. But don't go into it thinking, great, this is the one to get because I shoot a lot of video. I think you'll be disappointed if that's the case. I think the Pro line really does make a difference, particularly with regard to image quality, optics, and I also believe with autofocus. Now, Viltrox, there is one final thing I want to say today. You absolutely knocked it out of the park with these two lenses in your Pro lineup. But where is a Fujifilm zoom lens? Just saying. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope you found the video helpful or at least entertaining. And if you did, be sure to give it the like and subscribe. I want to say a special thank you to those Palditech Backstage and YouTube channel members. Thank you so much for all of your support. I really appreciate it. I will see you in a new video again very soon. Take care.